This is a quick video about relacquered saxophones, primarily Selmer Paris saxophones. We have an example here of my original Selmer saxophone with some really nice sharp engraving on it. It's original. I have one of my original Selmers over here, this Mark 7, without any engraving on it. But we can also see the emblem on it real nice. And we have my other Selmer here, which is a Relacquer. The primary identifiers for just looking at a horn is looking at the engraving. You can see how sharp the engraving is, and it's this way throughout the entire instrument. Even the emblem is really sharp, and it's sharp to the feel and the touch. On the Relacquer, since they buff it with a machine, usually they end up buffing out the engraving. And of course, since they relacquer it, they spray over the engraving. You can still feel the engraving, but you can visually see it's nowhere near as sharp and detailed as on this horn. You can feel it and hear it. If you look at the emblem over here, you can see the emblem's really nice. Though in the middle here, you can see it kind of losing its detail. But that may also be related to how the stamp was pressed onto the horn. Because on another of my saxes, as a matter of fact this one, we can see, even though it's sharp engraving, we can see the M is a little bit missing there. But everything else is in great detail. So really one of the first identifiers is looking at the detail of the engraving. And if you can feel it and touch it, if it's nice and smooth, it's probably been relacquered. Another method is looking for key grafts. This is when an instrument's been played a lot, and what happens is they will take part of the key, usually in the bottom, say this is worn a lot, they would cut off the end and graft another piece of tube to it. But those are really hard to identify if you're not used to knowing what you're looking for. Another way is for looking for the height of the tone holes. In the old days, when they did complete overhauls, what they would do is they would level the tone holes, which is essentially sanding them down a bit to make sure they're all flat. Over multiple times of this, what would happen is the tone holes, the height of them would get lowered. And what would happen then is, in order to keep using the horn and making sure things are all right, they would actually end up gold plating the horn. So if you see a gold plated sax, it may be factory gold plated, but it also may be gold plated because it had a whole bunch of overhauls done to it. That you have to know height of tone holes, make sure they're not too close to the body. Now another thing is the color of the lacquer. My two other horns here, this is a dark lacquer and this is the bright lacquer. This lacquer itself is kind of hard to see without comparison, but over here, two altos, I'm not sure we can see it in the video, but it is more of an orange color to the lacquer. This one, which is a dark lacquer, it still kind of sticks out a bit. A little bit darker color. It's kind of hard to know, but nowadays, considering they could fix the color lacquers, it really doesn't matter that much nowadays. It's easier just to identify it by engraving if it has engraving. Of course, there were horns like I have over here which had no engraving. Then you have to go off of the bell ring and hope that maybe they engraved out some of this detail here. But that's very easy not to take it out too much. But that's another way of looking there. Here you can see the engraving. In some points it kind of looks like dots or just squiggly lines, versus the way they engrave going back and forth with an awl. Up here it's really thin. Versus more detailed engraving. And that's basically one of the first ways of checking for whether a horn's been relacquered or not, is looking at the engraving and how detailed it is. Well, thank you for watching. Give a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and we'll get into this in more detail in a later episode.